Right, good morning everyone. In Kent again. This is a what's called a Wilden Hall house. Wilden Hall houses were timber frame buildings that were built between the 13th and the 16th century and includes an oast house. It's in a very small parish in an area that was formerly inundated by the sea. So those marshes over there were formerly part of the coastline. And what's interesting is we had an ancestor, William Culling, who left a will in 1601, an inventory, and it describes quite a substantial holding that included about £36 worth of livestock, a parlour, a buttery, and an oast house. Oast houses didn't look like the one over there in 1600. They were basically square buildings without a chimney, but it's possible that this is where our ancestor William lived and died in 1601. He was constantly getting into trouble with the authorities, and he came from a part of East Kent, which I've been to previously detecting at, and he came here possibly to basically get away from persecution. He was indicted for stealing 2 pigs 2 years before he died, and various other offences, which included failing to go to church. So that's where we are today. We've been kindly given permission to do the 20 odd acres that surround the Hall house, which is basically behind that oast chimney over there. And we're down and we're in a sheep field. Hopefully the rain will hold off. Notice the pitch of the roof. I think that's about 50 degrees. They were formerly thatched. As I say, timber frame. The sides were pulled up by ropes, and it was a standard format construction in the Weald in Kent and Sussex. Right, there's a drainage ditch or dike, whatever you want to call it. It's if you listen carefully, you can probably hear it. It runs out into the Rother. There, the old sheep. I've got a signal here. Where is it? Did have. Right where that sheep poo is. 18. I'll turn the Bluetooth off, sorry. I'll give that a dig and I'll get back to you. Right, that signal's in quite a deep hole. It's in the sidewall somewhere. See the pinpointer, probably about 6 or 8 inches deep. So, see what we get. That was easy enough. Oh, what do we got there? Oh, we have a coin. That's nice. That's a good second hole of the day. I think that's a coin rather than a button. It's kind of misshapen, so I don't know. It could be very old. Let's have a spray, shall we? Quick spray. Running out of water. Can't immediately see who that is. Oh, that's better. It may be toasted, unfortunately. Have to. Maybe have to have a look at that later, but it's a coin nevertheless. So that's a good start. We're very lucky the sun seems to be coming out, so that's a blessing. And got the third signal. of the day, which is this one. Have a listen. Quite a jumpy number. And I've got the iron switched on, so it's less likely to be iron. It could be, but it's less likely. Now, if we listen now, you'll see the tones become a little bit more irony, unfortunately. So, hear the iron in the background. It's only probably about 10%, but we'll give it a dig. Right, the hole's clearly off centre. Sometimes this happens when magnetic fields are projected in funny ways, like from old tins and things. Finally, after a considerable amount of digging, I can actually see something. Don't know if you can, but there. What is that? Ah, it's a button. It's a tiny little button. It's gilded. Plain button, but gilded on the back. Probably Victorian. Quite lucky the weather really is picking up now. Surrounded by sheep. And I've got a distance signal here, which seems quite deep. It's not a pinger, but 18 and it's max depth, so able to pick it up both ways. I've got the iron switched on, very little iron tone coming through, so definitely worth a dig. Let's see what that is. Unfortunately, I think it's something quite large if you listen to the pinpoint. I can hold that tone, so I'm gonna say it's probably something pretty large. I'll give it a little bit of time, and then if it doesn't produce anything, basically abort. I'll give it a few seconds of my time. Right, well, at least we picked it up with a pinpointer, down at about 8 inches there. I don't know if you can see in the side wall. Expecting it to be something quite large. Let's see, especially being that it's at that depth. Lovely soil this is, by the way. Not now at all. Ah, so there we go. Completely wrong. What do we got? So if this is my 4th hole, I've now got another coin. It looks very similar to the last one. I think. Pretty sure that's not a button. Right, I'm not gonna scrape it too much. Just get the see if we can get anything off this one. I don't think we will, but worth a try. I don't know if you can see that. Right. I'd like to see if it's Georgian rather than Victorian. It's pretty toasted. I think that's another either Victorian or Georgian halfpenny. Yeah, and I don't really want to bugger it, so we'll clean that later, and you'll see what it is at the end. Place the plug nice and carefully, so that we don't leave holes in the field. Got a bit of a broken signal here. 14 maximum depth, so 100% on the depth stake. I think that's going to be too big to be a coin anyway, but we'll see. First bit of iron, that was down at about 10 or 12 inches. So there you go, don't know what that is. Yeah, it's absolutely bucketing down now, unfortunately. Dan's found a little watch winder, which is quite a nice thing, and the farmer's doing something with a drain over there, but it's teeming with rain, unfortunately. Right, we've got an 8 here. Just turn the Bluetooth off a second. About 60% on the depth, so it's fairly shallow. Something quite big, I think, unfortunately. Well, it's questionable whether I should... I'll have a look, but it's giving pure iron tone. So we've just got iron tone, so it's probably likely to be something iron. It's a nail. I'm not sure, but it's one of those chain link things, I think. Yeah, just an iron chain link, unfortunately, on this occasion. Right, on to the next. Right, got a 19 or 21. Scale on the Vanquish being -9 to +40, incidentally. It's a bit of... Right, put the Bluetooth back on. Could this be another coin? We'll see. Right, whatever it is pretty deep. Down there, the full depth of this 9-inch pen pointer anyway. So about down at about 10 or 12 inches, whatever it's going to be. Interesting to see what it turns out to be. The number was a bit jumpy, it was sort of 20 to 30 in the end. As I say, the scale on this is -9 to 40. I don't think it's iron, but we'll find out. Yeah, it's very deep, it's about 14 inches. So it's got to be large, I would say. Or 15 inches down. It's something giant, isn't it? Whatever it is, it's been picked up from that depth with my Vanquish 12-inch coil. It's a square of copper. I don't know what that is. How on earth did that get down to that depth? I really don't know what that is. It's got protrusions, but it's not decorated or anything. So, really not sure. Right, not far from that incredibly deep 1.5-inch square piece of copper. I've got another signal. This one's a real pinger. 23, it's shallow. So, could it be a pound coin? It sounds like a coin. It's in the plug somewhere. 23. Could be something like a washer, of course, or something circular. It's another piece of... I think that's a horse brass. That one might have something on it. It's a rather nice horse brass, sort of breastplate type thing that goes on the chandlery or the straps of on horse bridlery. Well, that's quite interesting. I have to see whether it's got any decoration. Bit of a rickety 16. 100% depth. A very rickety signal. Right, God knows where that came out from the hole, but it's a coin actually. It's a very rickety signal, but at least it's a coin. This time I might be able to make something out. Got quite a nice patina on it. Looks like a wartime halfpenny, that one. Give it a quick spray. Here we got that's a George V, I think. By the fence or tree line here, got a nice 20. That's a good signal. It's something small, I think. 80% on the depth stakes. I don't think it's going to be that deep, but we'll see. He's saying it's not going to be very deep, but in actual fact, buckle. Oh, that's rather nice. The Georgian buckle. I don't think that's Victorian, I think. Could be Victorian, but it looks 18th century to me. As you can see, I'm right by the edge of the field. 18 to 23. A little bit broken, the signal. Depth is 100%. It's at some depth, at least 10 inches. That's what we get. Obviously the ground's quite wet at the moment and compact, so I'm probably attaining better depths than I would say on uncompacted ground that was dry. Just bearing that in mind because we've had a lot of rain recently. So hope it's not too deep. Oh, it's that great lump there. Great lump of lead. God knows what that is. Not anything particular, is it? I think it's a random shaped piece of lead. But yeah, down there at about nearly a foot, I would say. Right, I then proceeded towards the Hall House, the Wealden timber-framed Hall House that you see at the left end of. There's an extra wing that's been added to it on the right, but it's at the left. Notice the pitch of the roof. I think that's about 50 degrees. They were formerly thatched. As I say, timber frame. The sides were pulled up by ropes, and it was a standard format construction in the Weald in Kent and Sussex, through from the 1300s to the 1600s, more or less. Not a terribly good signal. Maximum depth. Right, got a beautiful 1921. What's it? These are going to be a coin. 80% on the depth, so all the interesting things seem to be fairly deep today. In that hole, we are quite close to the farmhouse though. Piece of lead, perhaps. What's it going to be? Is that it down there? Oh! Wow! That is a beautiful spindle whorl, I think. Yes. Gosh, that's medieval, at least. First ancient thing today. I think we need to do a bit more scanning in this area. Well, that's it, folk. That last find was a pretty decent find, and we'll have to return on another occasion, unfortunately. Excuse the wind noise, by the way, but we'll do a roundup in a minute and you'll see what we found. Brief resume or roundup of what we found. On the right here, so right of my finger there, we've got Dan's 20 fines, and on the left my 18 fines. Rather nice watchwinder, Victorian watchwinder, that was found near the drainage ditch. We've got what looks like a Victorian halfpenny, won't know till we've cleaned them, a Victorian penny. Something interesting, don't know what that is, it looks quite old. And we've got a number of buttons. Dan will clean them up and send me pictures which I'll post up. A lead washer of some description, or a lead something with a hole in it. My phones, bits of ironwork, it looks like a Georgian buckle, could be Victorian. This was the highlight, but it occurred right at the end, which is a medieval spindle whirl. I don't think it's decorated, but it's certainly medieval or very old. Got a horse brass, 3 what look like Georgian halfpennies, 2 bits of aluminium, another horse brass, I think. That was found at some considerable depth, at 1.5 foot, so goes to show the damp conditions and the compact soil helped with that. And then a modern tack and a piece of modern scrap really. And that was it. A good day's searching. We've got permission to return, which is always a bonus, and a very nice landowner. So hopefully we'll return and we'll find some more. And you'll be able to see that when I post it up on the video. Thanks for watching.